man himself, the real deal, the UFO Tarheel, Casey from the Hannibal TV, UFO TV and channel. And wow, what talk about transitions and the latest and greatest in the UFO and UAP world. It's definitely a good feeling to be involved in all this stuff. And you have quite an interesting presentation to show us. Look forward to seeing that. I got a heads up, but haven't said anything to anybody, and it's interesting. And most folks that watch this type of podcast know exactly who you are and from where you are. But those that don't, if you have someone like Casey, the UFO Tarheel, telling you, the presentation you're about to see, and the fact that he's a field investigator, that's a Tarheel, then that adds an extra degree of credibility. So it goes beyond being a witness. And Casey, we've been talking about this for a while, and you were one of the first folks that committed your time to this symposium, uniting the UAP community, first symposium of its kind for our group. Thanks so much, and go right ahead.
Sure. Thanks for that, Jim. First, do you have me completely audible?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and let's see if I can share some of the information here. And that way we can get started. If not, I'll get right into it. And I don't know, you have the backup presentation. If it won't allow me to share my content, maybe you can bring it up, Jim. If not, I can just share the information I have. But give me 1 second here. It's blocking me from sharing my window for some reason. But yeah, I can get started.
Here, I'll pull it up for you right now.
That's why I sent it to you as backup. Sometimes I get some Chrome blockers on here, and I'm sure I could go in and dig that out, but to not cause 15 minutes of technical pain here.
Oh, okay.
I won't do that. I'll just let you share it if you can. But yeah, thank you for that. And I mean, researching this for over 20 years now, and I've never had, actually, one of the guys I follow on X, he had just put out a post a few days ago. A lot of you follow him. He's got tons of followers on X, UAP Reporting Center. And I think he had put a note out, and he said, who has had a sighting, who goes out at night and just looks up and tries to see if they can see something, and which of you have seen something, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was one of those people kind of jokingly said, I go up and I go out every night and I look, never see anything. And I said, I was kind of hoping, and then somebody asked me, they said, well, are you doing all the right mental things to prepare yourself for asking one of them to show themselves? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not. I don't have a lot of time to do that. When you're a dad, a full-time student, a full-time employee, a ball coach for 2 different types of sporting teams, you don't have a lot of time for mental breaks, right? So I kind of joked and said, I was hoping to be one of those people who's just out walking the dog and the alien would just show itself to me. Don't have a lot of time to get into a psionic mindset. But, it just so happened this past Wednesday, I believe it was Wednesday, I go out and, I go hop in the hot tub, and nothing fancy. So don't think, oh, this guy's got a hot tub. It's one of those inflatable, like Coleman ones, the kind that when it quits working, you just pop a hole in it, throw it away, and go buy another one, right? But I slip in that thing. I don't even turn the spa on yet. It's just nice, calm night. And I'm staring out into the western sky, and I see a very bright white light. So before I go deeper than that, I'll just let you know that a lot of us in ufology, we are aviation nerds. We're aviation geeks to the point where I sit out on the back patio with my wife and I don't even have to look up and I can tell her, no, that's an A319. No, that's a Boeing 737. There goes a 727. There goes an A321. Nope, that's a local plane. That's a little pond hopper. You just, when you do it so much for so long, and it's just kind of like a hobby, there's nothing, you're on the back, you're having a bourbon and a cigar, and it just passes the time, right? If you I live near Charlotte Airport. So yeah, thank you, Jim. And this is the actual setting. So everything you will see in these visual representations are AI. I did not get my phone out, which I will explain. And never again will I make fun of the person who sees something anomalous and said, no, I didn't get it on film. No, I didn't take a picture. I used to say, why the hell would you not get your phone out? I completely understand now. I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, so I'm out there. It's quiet. I'm not even thinking UFOs. I'm not thinking lights. I'm not thinking nothing, honestly, because it's been a long day and I actually just bought this hot tub and I just wanted to relax and get in the hot tub. And I was by myself. Wife was upstairs. Kids were in bed. It's like 9 o'clock. And, I just want to have a calm night. Right. So, that night, and again, here comes the aviation nerd part. I know what's the ingress and egress into Charlotte Airport. I figure it out right away. So what that means is, when the flights are coming in, where are they departing from and where are they landing in from? And they always choose a path, and it's usually opposite paths. So they're usually landing from the south and departing from the north, right? You never see it to where they go, let's land and depart all from the same runway in the same direction. I mean, it'd just be chaos, right? They don't do that. So I know we're in a government shutdown. We're not in that bad of a shutdown where the controllers have just gone mad. So normally there's some directionality to it, right? The direction of the landings is opposite to the direction of the departing. So what you're seeing there is a row of homes that faces my west. So this night we're north. My neighborhood's north of Charlotte Airport. On this night, the flights were departing to the north. So that gives me a nice idea of relative, like the altitude of what is out there. And the reason I mean that is when flights are departing to the north, they're coming right into the western sky in front of me. So that means that if you imagine you're looking at those homes, you're sitting in my hot tub. I don't know if you want to envision that because most of the time I'm not wearing clothes. So, so you may not want to envision that too much. But if you're peering out here to the west above those homes, all of a sudden you'll start seeing lights pop up, right? Well, those are the flights just starting to come into the sky that are taking off out of the north, out to the north from Charlotte. So when I look them up on Flight Radar 24, they're usually anywhere between 1,900 feet in altitude up to about 4,000 feet. And then I can't see them anymore because my house is to my north. So I'm boxed in. To the west, you see these homes. To the north is my house. So I can't, this is the only sky I get to see in this situation. So I'm watching departing flights all night. So there's the first problem. Something is hovering in the flight path. Like that does not happen. So that's what caught my attention. I'm relaxing, my head's down. I look up. It's not like I saw it manifest. I didn't see it zoom in from somewhere. There's just a white light sitting there. Okay. Now, us aviation geeks, we know everything in our sky, right? We feel like we own our skies. We get it. If there's something in the sky around us, we know what it is and we know how to figure it out. And it's been like that for me for decades. I know I've seen some weird stuff and I've heard some weird stuff, but a little bit of research and I find out what it is right away. Sometimes it's a new type of aircraft that's been flown into the area. We got buzzed by some A-10s here recently. A-10s never fly over Charlotte. Never. So when you hear them coming from 3 miles off, you grab your phone and you're like, what the hell's coming? Because I've never heard anything that loud. And all of a sudden we have 4 A-10s fly by the house at about 8,000 feet altitude. So, but we can always figure out what's in our sky. or at least I can. One night here recently, I was out with my son. It was around the holidays last year, and we had a very low cloud bank that night, and there was circular lights in the sky. Total UFO action. We thought we were seeing something. Me and my son got our phones out. We were like, here it is. We're being visited. There was a local neighborhood doing a holiday light show, and they were projecting such nice lights. We got some really rich people here on the lake. They were doing like a really nice light show with some really strong, like stripper club type lights. And, you know, they were projecting them up on, they were so bright, and the cloud bank was so low that night that they were projecting them up on the clouds. So these round circular lights are rotating in the clouds, and all it was a holiday light show at a local neighborhood, and it took a few minutes of research on Facebook to debunk that one. So that's the most anomalous thing I've ever seen, and I was able to figure out in a few minutes. But here we are, bright white light, no motion to it, no strobing, just the brightest thing in the sky. And immediately I think, you know, that is the front landing light on a 737 or an A319 something. But remember, they're not coming in from that direction. Now, my phone is behind me on my SPA's controller. And something's telling me if you turn around and go get your phone, it's going to do something crazy fast and you're going to miss it. So I could not take my eyes off of it. I just was locked in on it because I was waiting to start see if. So I know it's not a big flight, right? Because that's not their flight path that night. But that doesn't mean our local municipal airport maybe had a small prop plane. But the thing with those is when they're flying 1,800, 2,000 feet, there's a lot of motion. When they're that close to you, you see the motion very quick, and you pick up on their strobing lights out on their wings really quick. I mean, like that. All you have to do is wait there for 30 seconds, and you'll start hearing the prop because those things are loud as shit, right? You hear them. Nothing. I mean, this light's not getting bigger. It's not getting smaller. It's not going left and right. There's no strobing, no pulsing, no sound. There's no sound out that night either. I'm sitting there. I've not turned the SPA on. I don't hear anything. So that's what has me intrigued. And it's too high in the sky to be a drone. So don't even come at me with the drone stuff. That's laughable because our drones, like we have some big ones that our fire department will fly over our lake. And they always stay within 100, 200 feet of the lake. You know, they're not going to fly those suckers up high. And they have massive drones that they'll fly. But those are for searching the waters. So they usually... the local PD will fly those very close to the water if we have a situation where there's a body in the water or somebody they're looking for that got lost in the water. Those are not high altitude drones. Plus, they're not going to fly them in the departing flight path of flights coming out of Charlotte. That's just a no-no. So it's definitely not a private drone. Those private drones, I believe, someone can correct me on this if we do a Q&A at the end. I believe from my buddy who flies the DJI equipment, he actually shoots car commercials with drones. He lives around me here, and he said, I can't even most of the time get mine to turn on because of some like control thing that the FAA has with like safety. He does have a permit to fly at night, but it's like he can't go over a couple hundred feet, like 400 feet or something. To be over these homes and out in a distance, I've already told you that in that flight path, you have to be in the 2,000 to 4,000 feet altitude range. So it's too high. Anyone that knows drones know it was a little windy that night. You get up 3,000 feet in a really nice drone, you're going to drain your battery quick because you're fighting the winds. You're fighting the winds the higher you go in altitude with those little drones. And to carry a hell of a light on it like this, and even some of the really nice drones that get up, like when I've seen them out flying off the coast and stuff, I'm still making out their guidance lights. You know, that's what the operator would use to know his which direction the drone is facing and things like that. Because it's really kind of hard to fly at night with your drone. So I know it's not drone. I know it's not commercial. I know it's not a local flight because after the move that it pulled and disappeared, I did check flight radar. The closest thing that was in the area was to the southwest. This is directly west. It was to the southwest, and it was a 38,000 foot altitude flight out of Houston, flying somewhere off to the East Coast. So there was nothing in the area. Jim, I don't know if you can play the video. I try to do my best in the video of the AI representation. I think it was on the slide you were on. If you just click on that image, yeah, in that slide, it should play it. But if not, it's no big deal.
Okay. Okay, Casey, can you hear me right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sharing my screen a little bit differently than I was before. Let me try to play that video though.
Yeah. It should be clickable inside. I tried to use Google's
Yes,
AI.
it is clickable inside. What I need to do is share my screen a little bit differently than the way I was doing it before. Let me try something. And good
No
news
worries.
is we got a little bit of time. So apologize if I take a second, but I'm gonna share
Dude,
my
you're
screen.
fine.
Yeah,
I'll keep
and
talking, and if it starts playing, we'll hear it. No worries. But yeah, so I tried to use AI just to show you, because the good thing about AI is I can actually take a picture of what everything looked like that night. So this is an actual picture of that evening. But then I told AI, like, hey, put the light here and do this to it, and it tried to make the best representation as I can. But this is the actual setting of what I'm seeing that night. The thing to know about my location being in town, uh, I only get to see about 12 stars a night. It sucks down here around Charlotte. I don't get to see anything. We have so much light pollution. If you see something in the sky, if somebody tells you, I
there we
once
go.
had, oh, is it started? I once had,
Can you see that
yeah,
now, Casey?
yeah.
Let's see.
So the maneuver it pulls is just straight up. Now, and then it phases out. So I know some people are probably watching this and they're saying, "Wow, this is the most mundane sighting." So you have to understand.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna
I
play
have,
that again just because I'm
yeah,
play it
because
again, Casey.
yeah.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
So it
Yeah,
goes straight
the
up, and
thing
then
is,
it.
as you said about the, I mean, I've lost God knows how many hobbyist drones, Casey. But but that being said, and I had a cheap Walmart VTJ or VJI drone
Mm-hmm.
or whatnot, and it at one point I forget what the latest FAA regulations are, but at one point I want to say it was like 400 or 500 feet max, but I
It's
think
only a
that they
few hundred
lowered
feet,
it. They definitely lowered it since. So
and
yeah,
they're
not
definitely not going to let you fly on the exact flight path of departing flights out of a major international airport. So they're just not going to let you do that.
right, right.
So, but that's another thing. I mean, I would love to tell you I saw pulsing, or with the latest drone craze, when people upload their videos, you can always see some flashing lights or some kind of alternating lights. This thing had nothing. I'm talking about circular, white, bright light. That was the brightest thing in the sky. And what I was saying was, in Charlotte, our light pollution is off the charts. I mean, I don't get to, like I said, I don't get to see anything. Um, it's not like people like go out and they do satellite watching and stuff. I don't get to do that. I mean, the light pollution is awful down here. So I mean, like, I don't get. So when you see something really bright in the sky, it's always an inbound flight that has its landing light turned on, and you're just seeing it coming right at you. So if this would have been a night where the arriving flights were landing from the west, coming in from the west and making a bank and turning south to Charlotte, that could have totally been a landing light. Here's the problem. When they are coming from the west and they're flying right at me, they got to bank south to go land in Charlotte Airport. When they do that, you're getting landing light, landing light, landing light. And then when they bank right, all of a sudden that landing light goes away, and then boom, it goes right into the alternating green and red lights that you see out on the wings. And then sometimes you even see their tail wing lit up. We have a big AA hub here, American Airlines, and they even light up the red and white stripes on the tail wing of the AA flights. You can tell everything at 2,000 and 3,000 feet. You can make out everything. None of that. So that's what took me. That's why I did not turn around and grab my phone. Is I could not believe that it just took straight up. Now the AI representation that I just did here, this AI recreation of this, it doesn't do it justice, because it went so, when it started going straight up, it was just ascending. So when it started going straight up, it was almost looking like it was going straight and back out to the west, and but straight up, and then it just slowly dimmed out and disappeared. So at those altitudes,
Crazy.
with nothing on radar, no pulsating, no color lights, no nothing. I don't know what that. I have no clue what that was. Ruling out recreational drones like just a private citizen. I mean, unless it was something military, but what you have to understand around Charlotte is we are also a dead zone. I'm North Charlotte, so what you have to understand is we are a dead zone for military activity. We just don't have it here. All the cool stuff that happens in North Carolina happens out on Chris Bledsoe's side. He's out there near Fort Bragg. He's out there near, there's like 4 or 5 bases out there around him. So we're a little critical of Chris around here because we're like, Chris, you're in the hotbed of like cool aeronautical shit that's going on in North Carolina. Of course, you're seeing weird stuff out there because like you're in the thick of it. But over here in Charlotte, the coolest thing we have is our Air National Guard at Charlotte that flies C-17s out of there. That's the coolest thing you'll get to see in Charlotte, bar none. Every now and then you'll get a Black Hawk flying out of Salisbury. Out west, you'll see a Chinook every now and then. But you hear those before you see them, right? You know a Chinook's coming when it's at 2,000 feet altitude before you even can go outside and look at it. You already hear it first. Same thing with the C-17. When the C-17 is coming in to land here at 3,000 feet, you hear it before you see it. So for this thing not to make any sound, it can't be a helicopter because again, our helicopters down here would have been on flight radar. Second, we would have our police helicopters down here are medical helicopters. They're usually moving pretty quick, make a lot of sound, and they have tons of lights on them, strobing lights all over them. So there's my experience. It's the first time I've ever had anything happen. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying it's alien. This is not one of those discussions. All I'm telling you is that it was the brightest thing in the sky in a light pollution sky. And there is nothing of my normal reasoning that I do to rule out every single thing I've ever seen that I can come up with to understand this one.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then on the last slide there, Jim, really that's just getting into the conversation.
Sorry, I can't help it. This is just very cool. Just one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish it could. I tried to have the AI simulation like, no, go higher, because it kind of leaves the light dims out, and it looks like it dims out within a very short period. It took it quite a while. Like it was, imagine something ascending. It's like, okay, now this thing's up probably 20, 30,000 foot altitude, and it's still going, and it's just getting slightly dimmer as it goes, and then all of a sudden it's out. So I could not get the altitude play on it the way I want to. It looks like it goes out within a short period of time in the AI representation, but actually it took a while. I mean, because it was going up. So be that what it may, I mean, I feel very confident in sharing this because the only reason is if I wasn't such a aviation geek, I probably wouldn't share it because I probably wouldn't know how to rule out all those other things. But I think it feeds right into this because I came up with this chart to try to help people understand like patience, be patient with people. And I even point fingers at myself with this because you never know where people are at on their journey of understanding. So on the y-axis over there of this, it's just a scale of 0 to 100, and it's your level of engagement into this topic of ufology, right? And 100 being you're on it, right? You're on it, doggone it. But then down at the bottom on the x-axis is just like your number of years engaged, and you can see I've kind of put it in there chronologically 1 through 20 years, and I'm just using this as like a relative idea to understand. You can see that some people's lines start in different places, right? And you can see that there's a lot of volatility here, and you can see that some people have been involved longer than others, and you can see some people really disengage and then re-engage. And I think we lose sight of this when we're talking to each other, and we fall into like what the political world has fell into and the religious world and everything else, and we start talking past each other. But you have to understand, like some people, we get tied up in tribalism, right? what was your point of entry? So the green line here, the person number 3 that entered in year number 14. Well, what was your point of entry? Oh, I watched a Dr. Greer documentary. And then we beat them about the head and neck for watching a Dr. Greer documentary, and it's like, well, why are we beating them up over that? They don't know anything about this subject yet. So what good does it do that someone just opened the door into the subject and you give them,
But as long as they got the cruise out of it.
yeah, I know. But we beat them up over it, and we say, oh, that guy's an idiot. He don't know what he's talking about. And we slap them around with our years of experience, right?
Right.
And and then some of these people, they feel like that makes them stronger, or that makes them more right than someone else. And that's where I just think that people, if you understand that there is a personal journey to this and people are allowed to disengage and re-engage, it's this way. Is this really a surprise? Is this not the way that we treat everything in our life? Either, even if it is something very intimate to us, like politics or religion, even we ebb and flow with that, right? I never know people of any faith or of any political affiliation that are just like 100% all the time, right? Sometimes they disengage, and who knows why. Sometimes they get tired with certain subjects, or they get beaten down, or maybe just life is coming at them and they just can't engage in is the same level of time as what they have historically. But I think I put the lines in between there, in between these zones, to show you that that's the common ground that we're missing. There's probably some common ground to be found in that volatility of people coming and going, right? That's the one thing we all have in common, is we're either coming or going when it comes to this topic. Some of us are on the way up and some of us are on the way down, but we're passing, right? We're coming in contact. And I think if we just could understand that, and it's okay, and to allow people to do that, I think the community would be a lot better off, because I think, especially with the rush to disclosure this year, people are getting so disenfranchised right now because they want something to happen really bad. But again, I'm the orange line here, right? I've been at this for over 20 years of paying attention and researching, but someone newer to the subject, they're wanting a lot right now. I lived through the years where there wasn't any podcasting on this. There wasn't anything coming out, pretty much the 2001 Press Club event that happened, that had to sustain us for years because nothing happened after that. There was no documentaries. There was no, it wasn't like Congress was engaged. I mean, you have to understand, we were living through the Iraqi war. No one cared about anything to do with this subject. We were dealing with that post 9/11 world, dealing with the crash that happened in the end of the 2000s there. So it just wasn't anything that was going to pick up any steam. And then there, about a decade later, we have all this chatter start again with Tom DeLonge, and they kind of start kicking things back off. So, but we have just had a rich year of content and material, right? And it's we're drinking from the fire hose, as they say. So it's a lot to take in, and we have a lot of people entering. That's what you have to understand. When there's a lot of content, that means there's a lot of doors being opened. So you have to understand there's a lot of people entering, where a lot of people like me, who's been in this for a while, are probably starting to step back a little bit, and not in a bad way, but we're probably stepping back because we just need to try to get the full picture of what's going on, because there's just too much content. So that's what I had to say for that. I think I've used up about 30 minutes of my time there, Jim, but I think it is a notable thing to understand, like, take it easy on some people. Those of us are in the community. Again, I point fingers at myself here too. I'm not saying I'm a saint. I'm not saying I always say I'm the right thing. Sometimes, hey, like bringing up Chris Bledsoe, those of you who know me and follow my content, sometimes I am ball busting Chris like crazy. He's blocked me on X. I didn't say anything bad. It's not like I have his name call him, but he's North Carolinian like I am, so I give it to him, just being a North Carolina boy too, growing up around Chris. And what you have to understand is, like, I actually believe that guy is probably the salt of the earth. He's the guy that you would knock on his door. He's always going to give you a cup of sugar. He's always going to, come check on your dog if you need him to while you're out. He's probably an amazing human, and I have no reason to doubt that. But, I can still have disagreements, right? And that's okay. And I should be able to dissent. And I think we should leave, as long as you do it respectfully. And then I have at times probably bled over to the, Chris, that's a little fraudulent what you're doing there. Not letting people pull up flight radar during one of your sightings. We all are going to be a little tough on each other sometimes like that. But, so I have to kind of step back sometimes too. If I find myself like getting too invested like that to where I'm giving somebody too much of a hard time, then I have to take a look at this again myself. And I'm not always representing this to my best abilities. Maybe I need to take a step back and realize that, Chris is on this journey too, right? He's dealing with some of this as well. He's on a lot of pressure to produce sightings when he puts on these events and things like that. So, sometimes I need to realize that I need to adhere to this also. So that's why I say I'm not perfect either. It's something I still have to work on, but I do think it's at least worthy to call out, right? Just to recognize where we all are. So,
Yeah, total agreement on that, Casey. And it's folks, forgive me for saying this one. It's all just all in good fun. And I say, unite the entire UAP community, even including Dr. Stephen Greer, everybody except for you, Corbell. No, just kidding. Because I know you guys like to say, like Hannibal's famous thing is, I love when Corbell tries to be cool because he's not. but yeah, everybody's welcome, and everybody was invited to this, either to participate or to watch. And we do want to have another. So this is the first of its kind for us, anyways, for a symposium on uniting the UAP community, and USER have certainly made it complete. But I think we need the Mean Gene and Casey machine now for our final session on news and views, because all I could say about today from 10 a.m. to almost 8 p.m. is holy crap and wow, because I learned a lot and enjoyed everything. And we've had the whole gamut from things in our solar system all the way to consciousness, and the Disclosure podcast and everything in between, and me and Gene arguing about 10 to the power 3, but not really. So everything is grand. All right, Gene, I'll listen up. What do you have to say? And I'll give you the microphone too. How do you like that one? Gotta give you the microphone.
Yeah, we gotta share. So we're sitting here in the same room, and we have the output. So like Casey, you're going over a speaker, but we're sitting here next to one another.
nice.
We've just found sharing the microphone becomes easier. No, that was fantastic. I'm glad you finally caught something anomalous to dig into. I know you were taking a break for a little while and recharging, so that was probably the universe's sign that you got to get back in.
Pulls you right back in, right?
Back in the fight, right?
Pulls you right back in. But see, now here's my protocols, right? So for those of you that have listened to or read Diana Pasulka, and she writes about Tyler D and some of these other people, you have to go through protocols, right? And you have to meet these protocols to interact with whatever next level intelligence you're dealing with. Well, here's my problem. My protocols was being naked in a hot tub. So apparently now, to engage with the phenomena, I'm going to have to drop clothes every time. So I don't know if that's good for humanity. I don't know if that's good for my wife. I have no clue, but my wife told me, she's like, what do you normally have to do to, and I was like, wasn't doing anything. I got naked, got in the hot tub. And she was like, oh boy, you found your, so they wanted to see something, I guess. I don't know.
UFO Tarheel on OnlyFans. Hello.
So it's like, who knows? I hope that's not my protocols. I hope I don't have to do that every time. It's like,
I think you do, and I think you need to record it. Yeah, absolutely. Put it out for the public. I mean, it very well could be the fact that you were unhindered by clothing that
Right.
allowed you to connect and resonate with the universe. So I think a full documentary. I think every time you go out, you need to detail that, and
Oh
we've got
my
to,
God.
we've got to post it. And
Nice.
yeah,
Oh no.
that is definitely something the world needs to see.
Yeah, it's like that's gonna be what channels me with the beyond is they're like, hey, this guy's out here uh as he came into this world and he's ready to come out of it. I will say that I've not had any follow-up stuff. I've not been sleeping good the last few nights, so I don't know. Maybe there was something anomalous that happened. I've kind of been abruptly awakened at like 4 a.m. and I can't go back to sleep. But nothing really on mind. It's not being bothered with. But yeah, it is really cool. Like Gene, with you being in the Air Force, like what else would that be, right?
No, absolutely, you're right. Being, and living on the Air Force Base as a young troop, right? You get used to all those noises
Yeah.
all night long, jet engines. People are amazed at what I can sleep through and all the rest of it. But on the same token, you could be in that room and we'd have C5s, running engines late into the night, and then a pin drops that shouldn't drop, and you jump out of that bed because there is a sound that is not correct.
Yeah.
Or like you say, when the absence of sound too becomes just as disconcerting. I imagine, where you're at, you've got your garden variety wildlife sounds that you're used to, and it becomes noticeable when they're not there, and that certainly becomes feeds into reports and phenomena and such as we see.
Yeah, and no, you're absolutely right, and that's why I say, with my limited view around here, I don't get to see a lot, and I'm boxed in. I'm trapped in suburbia. It's not like I get great night viewing stuff. So, I mean it when I say we hear things before we see them.
Yeah.
Even when it's a small plane landing here locally around our local town, those prop planes are still loud at 1,500 feet. They're buzzing through here and you hear them before you see them, kind of thing. So but yeah, I know what you mean. Even like you saying that with C5s, we don't have C5s in Charlotte. We're a C17 hub. We got like 3 or 4 of them sitting over here. But our local airport put on Facebook recently, Charlotte, that they had a C5 in town. And I went and checked the Facebook post on that, and everybody said like what you did. They knew the sound wasn't right. And everybody went out to go get pictures of it because they heard it. They were like, what the hell is going over my house at 1,000 feet? Well, when a C5 goes over your house at 1,000 feet, you're probably going to feel it a little bit too. So because the C17 is already rumbling. So the C5 is what? Not twice as big, but maybe at least like 50% bigger or something like that than a C17.
Yeah,
so
longer at least, right?
yeah.
But C17 has a larger capacity. They just got it all into a nice compact size.
Yeah, and we actually just had our first 747 flying here too. Local Cargo Air is flying 747s in. So we're getting some bigger aircraft. The biggest thing we get here is the 777 and the A350s, but I won't go into my aviation nerd stuff. But yeah, I'm glad you noticed that, Jim. I don't want to like toot my horn, but hopefully my account would weigh a little bit heavier, because when you are an aviation nerd, you know how to rule out all the stuff, right? Because you want to get to the good stuff. So you want to rule out all the conventional stuff really quick. And all my years, I've never been able to come into anything remotely like this. So I still have no clue what it is. Me and my wife went out later that night out on the patio, and she's like, well, let's see, because she was invested in. She's like, let's see if we can get something to pop back up. Nothing did. It was just the departing flights out of Charlotte. So
Did you tell her to get naked?
yeah, that's not. Yeah, I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy. But those of us who are married know that it's not that easy.
You want to see a UFO?
Yeah, you got to pay the piper, right?
That's right. And there was one other point that came up early in your presentation that I found interesting when you talk about the different lights. You mentioned that the projections that you saw from the community were as far as stripper lights. So I'm just interested in your experience with stripper lights and how you're able to discern those and differentiate those from all other forms of lighting. That struck me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely. We have our strip club here in town. It's right off of the interstate. I mean, it's right off the interstate, and they do those big, uh, like entertainment lights. What do you call them? You know, they're like the things they put out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they put them
Yeah.
out, and you can see them from miles away, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to draw you in. Come, come join us for the evening. But yeah, that's why I just liken it to that, because when you have a very low cloud bank and you're putting out that kind of light, but it's funny, the projection lights they were doing over here in town, it was actually just right across the lake from me here. Um, they were those really nice, and now everyone's doing them. I'm seeing them pop up on TikTok, and people go in there and they go, "I'm seeing something anomalous," and I'm like, "Oh no, somebody is mass producing now a really good projection light for like holiday things and stuff like that." And if you
Right.
get that mixed with a cloud bank, you're going to see some pretty cool lights in the sky. So,
Well, there was a video not long ago. I think it was from Texas. Women were screaming about the UFO landing, and it was just stadium lights down the street. Or she said, "Oh, it's a UFO and it's shooting a beam," and it was the stadium lights from down the street, but it was overcast, a little bit
yes,
foggy. You couldn't
I saw
quite
that.
make,
I saw
yeah,
exactly what you're talking about.
you know. But
And you have
again,
to know people's surroundings too. Is
kind of
there a
know your
mountain
neighborhood. Yeah,
range?
yeah.
Yeah, is there a mountain range in the distance? And people see a light on top of the mountain range on a hazy night and it looks like it's floating, right? No mountains here, not in Charlotte. Our mountains are way north of me. I have no mountain off in the distance or anything like that. So trust me, I'm not seeing anything like that. But I've thought of everything I can. But yeah, if it pops up again, if I start having a Bledsoe type situation where I'm able to see it, even with Bledsoe's, I've watched almost all his videos. Even with Bledsoe's, there's always a linear motion. There's always, he starts filming and they're going, east to west, or he starts filming and they go west to east, and they disappear behind the trees. Right? Any of you who have been following Chris and you watch his videos, I've never seen one just float and then just take off like straight up. Like his are always, when he starts shooting, he goes, "Okay, guys, I'm following the light," and it's following. It goes across the sky. So that's why I've always given him a little bit of hard time, because I'm like, man, you're right there near a base. They're probably flying some shit. But, this type of thing where it hovers for several minutes and then takes off straight into the sky. Yeah, very cool. And nothing anomalous for speed though. It's not like when it took off, it was that, had to be going Mach 5 or Mach 10 or something. It was just a nice steady.
Casey, as in just like you couldn't even see a teeny little twinkle or nothing, just
Nothing.
like right freaking there, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a great way to put it. No twinkle, no sparkle, no movement, no nothing. I mean, it's just sitting there. That's why, when you're sitting around here and you see things that it had to be 2,000 to 4,000, because again, it was right there in that flight path of departing flights.
Yeah.
When you're down that altitude, you get motion out of everything in the sky. You see something, even if it is a drone, you're going to see the drone making some movements, because you put a drone at 2,000 feet, it's going to get beat all to hell, and they're going to be doing everything they can to keep it kind of steady. But it to not see it not do anything at all until it finally decided to leave. That was another captivating part of it, because I probably watched it for 5 minutes and it just sits still and it didn't twinkle, sparkle, nothing, and then just take off right into the sky. So yeah, really cool. I was glad I got to see it. I always thought my anomalous sighting would come when I'm out at the coast or out on a cruise or something. I'm out in this dark area or something, or I never thought it'd be downtown here, and I get to see something. But is what it is, right? You'll take what you can get.
It's nuts. For what it's worth, and it's not worth that much, but my 2 cents, it is bizarre that it seems to be one of the most common reports.
Right.
Is in an orb, a sphere, alike, but they're all like circular and bright. There's one that I'm working on right now. It's similar. The witness believes that it's responsive to them, and from what I've seen from videos, it looks that way. Although you never know until you see it in person. But the witness has good credibility. But I think looking at the grand scale of things, it's weird because I lost count of how many orb or sphere or glowing bright dot videos I've seen, and it starts to make
Yep.
you, at least it starts to make me doubt my not my saying what did I say doubt my judgment, because you see so many, and there's satellites, obviously that wasn't, but there's planes, and then there's these bizarre ones. I'm sure you've seen countless ones where
Oh,
they have
absolutely.
these trajectories that are like they go in and it's almost like a 180, or they go in and it's almost like a very sharp 30-degree, in and then bent back, and they're just so many of them.
Absolutely.
It's dumbfounding. Did you try to correlate it with any of that, or you just can't? It's just not possible.
As soon as it disappeared, I immediately grabbed my phone and got on flight radar, and yeah, just couldn't see anything. Nothing was on there. Nothing was close by. And you have to understand that back during the drone craze last year, I can't even tell you how many people that I did not speak to like an asshole. I actually helped them understand what they were seeing. So a lot of people are getting on there and they post their drone video, and people would just beat them up in the comments and they go, "You idiot, that's a plane." I would just post and say, "Hey, if you give me your general location, your time, the date, the time, and your general location, I'll look it up for you, because I actually pay for the Flight Radar 24 package where you can do the retro playback for a further period of time. So, if you do the UTC time conversion and all that, you can go back and look back. I love watching people fumble around with these conspiracy theories and they don't even know to do UTC time conversion. They're like, look at this flight leaving. And you're like, you didn't convert the time. But yeah, like they tried to do that with the Charlie Kirk situation. Look at this flight. It took off right after it. And it's like, did you convert the time? What does that mean? Okay, you didn't. So, but I would go and people would be so nice to me. I would reply to them. They would give me a general location. I was off exit such and such on this interstate up there off Rhode Island, and it was at this time of night on this date. And I pull it up, and I'm like, you just saw a Gulf Stream. It was at 300 feet altitude. It was landing here. It was right beside you. That's exactly what that was. And it's okay. I get it. You saw something and you've not really been paying attention, and now you are. But that's what it was. And fear not. And they'd reply back and they'd say, thank you. I mean, a lot of people were very nice about it. They were like, thank you so much for looking that up and let me know what it is. A lot of people just beat me up and they don't try to help me understand what I'm looking at, because not everyone is an aviation nerd, right? Not everyone does go out and look up every night and pay attention to the difference between, an A319 and a A321, So, they just, but it really made me understand during the drone craze last year of how many people they do not understand what's up in the sky. Like they do not realize that sometimes the planes have different lighting packages on them. Some of them choose to light up their tail wing and some don't, and they see it and they think it looks weird. And it's like, that's actually just something very common. But yeah, no, Jim, I tried to bounce it against everything I know of. And I just, I would love to just say it's a drone or something, but at that altitude, if it would have been close to the ground, like right above the tree line, like if it was just right there above the trees, I wouldn't have even said anything to anybody. It's just too low to the ground to me, and I would have not felt comfortable calling it something anomalous, knowing it was in that drone altitude area. Like if it would have been right there 100 feet over the tree line or something, I would have went with drone all day long. I don't care what it was doing. I don't care if it was doing some amazing maneuver. I would have just said that's still right there in that drone flying area. But with this being so high in the sky, I'm not comfortable calling it a drone. So and I think also if you could have seen this thing ascend and just see how high in the sky it got before it even started dimming its light, it got way up there. I mean, it had to have been up over 10,000, 15,000 feet altitude before it even started to dim its light. So, or before it started kind of dissipating, is I'm saying dim, but it was more of a dissipation of the light. So yeah, really interesting stuff, but you know, I couldn't find anything conventional.
Crazy. It's and Dr. Rudy Shield, who was on here earlier, Casey, and also someone who I'm corresponding with now. Um, Actually, a lot of people have been saying that these entities or craft or whatever have been trying to communicate with human beings for quite some time. But it's kind of bizarre because isn't that a mixed bag, Casey? Because then on the other hand, these same types of things, witnesses or experiences will report that they had a sense of calm or a sense of peace and love, or other times, witnesses will say that they heard or felt something, or that they saw something. And it's very bizarre how these craft or NHI or whatever they are, how either there's such a potpourri of them that they all have different ways of communicating, or else there's such a contradiction between all of it that I can't tell what the heck is going on. It's one or the other.
Well, I don't think we understand the human mind at the level that we all think we do. Um, I don't think that we understand that when we are walking through a spooky room, that we can almost make something manifest because we can almost will it in our minds. You know, I hear countless stories of people who have paranormal activity in their home, and they say, I walked in, I looked out to my right of eye, and I know I saw my aunt standing there, and she's passed. I know I saw her standing there because she always stood on the steps like that. When I looked over there, she disappeared. I've had that happen so many times just because my brain is expecting something to be sitting there. Maybe it's one of my cats, maybe it's something. I look over there and there's nothing there. And but I don't look at that as a paranormal situation. I look at that as my brain is trying to feed me the image that it's expecting, and it wasn't there to produce it. And you know, and that's what happened. So I think it's just I don't think we fully understand like the human mind and how powerful it is. I don't think we understand its ability to fill in the gaps. Um, Even in a dreamlike state, I don't think we've talked about this on the show. Many of you tuned in on Hannibal TV. We talk about some of the abductees. And when those of you who have lived through sleep paralysis, you understand what we're talking about. And I've lived through it. It's a powerful state because your brain can manifest such things that you don't even realize. You're like, wow, something was standing over in the corner. And then one of my recent within the past few years, one of my sleep paralysis situations, I saw multiple things, and they were really close to me. Now, some people go right to that, right? And they say I was visited. I lean more to, you know, my brain is pretty kick ass and it can do some stuff that I just don't realize. It's got some really good it gets into the whole three body problem thing, right? I don't know if those of you have watched that. I think if NHI ever comes and they elevate us, they're going to tell us quit buying a PlayStation because the PlayStation's right here. And you can actually go visit any other reality you want to, and you can interact there, and you can even die there, but it's okay. That was just a projection, and you know, you can come back and you can respawn some other time. So I think like people don't realize that, you know, the brain is pretty powerful. It can do some pretty powerful things. So even the getting the goosebumps or getting you know, like what Jake Barber said when he was picking up the 8 gun, he felt the overwhelming sense of like peace and it made him emotional. I don't discount him for that. I bet he did. But I think people don't realize I used to also hear Whitney Houston hit a high note and it would make the hairs on my arm stand up. You know, so I think sometimes your emotions can play into you a certain way on a cerebral level that you just don't understand, and it's and it can transcend you, and I just don't think people fully have vetted that out and understand it. That's my take on it.
Yeah, a very cool take, and from a very cool dude, Casey, the UFO Tarheel, and I'm very thankful that you joined us on our first of a
Thanks for having
kind.
me.
Hopefully more to come Symposium Uniting the UAP Community.